gonna start with the first video. How entitled no-name actor destroyed Disney classic, aka Snow White.
Check this out. I'm gonna show you how I.
Mother! I got ads.
All right, 100.
There you go.
Disney was warned for years that their live-action remake of Snow White would be an abysmal failure. They ignored the warnings and instead made every wrong decision possible, leading to a box office bomb. Theaters around the world are empty. The film
No. This thing did not messed up. Not a lot, like everything. Well, they messed up on the actors. I will say that because Gal Gadot, I saw clips. I can't fully judge her acting, but I saw the clips, and oh my god, it's horrendous of her acting. I'm sorry, but also Rachel, the actress, she literally ruined the marketing for the film, because she put one, her political takes on public, which again you shouldn't do that. You should be neutral when you're promoting a product or a movie, etc., stuff like that, because that's just like you just want to be neutral. You want to get the majority market, not like pick a side market kind of thing. Also, she did tarnish the film by she talked way too much. She had no PR training. She talked way too much about the film until later on, where she said, "Oh, I loved the film. I thought it was great, etc." You know, like gaslight people, I guess you could say. It was pretty much too late. Like she pretty much. They messed up on the actors for sure.
Film sold 50%
Actress.
less than they projected. It earned a 1.6 out of 10 star rating on IMDb, a 20% rating on Rotten Tomatoes.
Which is lower, bro. It's lower than Dragon Ball Evolutions, man. Dragon Ball Evolutions is 2.5. You remember, guys, Dragon Ball Evolutions? Oh my god.
The CGI dwarves will give you nightmares, and the little people they replaced with CGI have filed a class action lawsuit against Disney. Walt Disney himself is turning because he personally requested that the company should never change, alter, or remake Snow White, but they did it anyway by casting Rachel Zegler, who insisted that they change the entire film to make it more politically correct. Rachel called the original Prince Charming a stalker, insisted that Snow White was not yearning for love, but actually dreamed of.
And guess what? The Prince Charming character, whatever, he was only on the original film for like, I believe, like 11 minutes of the whole thing. Like, it's crazy, dude, because he's not the main character. But like, I was like, what?
Being a leader. Rachel also demanded she be paid more for, quote, standing in a dress for 18 hours. Zegler created so much controversy that Disney had to hire a personal security detail for her co-star Gal Gadot because of the countless death threats she was receiving. This movie is an absolute dumpster fire, and Rachel's response to the film bombing proved that everyone's suspicions about her were correct.
I'm a narcissist.
And yet none of that has anything to do with why people were suspicious about Rachel Zegler in the first place.
Oh, you gotta use that photo?
Rachel's friend sent her a tweet about an open casting call for Steven Spielberg's film adaptation of West Side Story. So 16-year-old Zegler recorded and submitted an audition tape.
Bernardo and Anita argue all morning about a fight that's gonna happen tonight?
Now, she was definitely a promising young talent. She spent her childhood acting in countless plays and developed an impressive singing voice. Rachel was just one of 30,000 who auditioned for the role of Maria. Without any professional acting experience, an agent, or connections in Hollywood, she was selected for the lead role. Her performance earned critical acclaim, and she went on to win the Golden Globe for Best Actress in a Motion Picture, Musical, or Comedy. The industry plant accusations were formed because some people simply do not believe that a no-name actor could get this lucky. She was basically hand-selected by Steven Spielberg. Then again, with the entertainment industry being flooded with nepo babies and people born into immense wealth, Rachel being essentially a random girl from New Jersey securing an A-list role actually might be a step in the right direction for Hollywood. However, they may have chose the wrong girl.
Yeah, it's poorly.
Opinions to herself started to cause problems for Disney executives. narratives. As if West Side Story wasn't already a massive introduction to Hollywood, her next role was even bigger, one that could set her up for a lifetime of success, and that was being cast as Snow White in Disney's live-action remake of the classic. Rachel chose to make this monumental announcement on Twitter where she wrote, "Yes, I am Snow White. No, I am not bleaching my skin for the role." Rachel deleted this tweet shortly after sending it out to the world.
So
However, the
dumb.
reason she brought up her skin color in the first place was to address the criticism she was receiving online. In the original fairy tale and the 1937 animated film, Snow White is depicted as having skin as white as snow. It is quite literally the inception of the princess's identity.
Which is
Rachel's
crazy.
mother is of Colombian descent and has more of an olive
Which is like, what? I mean, her name is Snow White. I mean, this. You know how like people say like where like skin tone sometimes it does matter of the character, which is true, right? Obviously, like T'Challa, like which in this case, the skin color does matter for the characters, literally in the name of the story, Snow White. So that's what I was kind of like what? Like I thought that was the whole point is to get the character to look like exactly almost like in a cartoon or within the story. So what I saw was like I was kind of like, are they gonna like kind of like edit her skin and make it like almost like white, like still whitey? And I was like, what? I was like, all right, because again, you can make obviously people could make arguments with like Little Mermaid or something like that, but again. Snow White. It's part of the character. It's part of the character. I'm sorry. Like,
skin tone. Now, there definitely were some extreme takes suggesting
yeah, there were,
and only casting POC characters to cause outrage. There were also some blatantly racist takes, but
yeah, there were.
We're just genuinely confused why Snow White wasn't going to be white, and this does seem to be a recurring theme for Disney these days. The original 1989 animation of The Little Mermaid depicted Ariel as a white woman, whereas the 2023 live-action remake cast Halle Bailey as Ariel, who is African American. And yes, this film was also accused of pandering, trying to change something that was a non-issue in the first place. However, defenders pointed out that mermaids don't have a race because they are not real. Normally, these controversies lead to failure, but the film grossed over $560 million worldwide and made a solid profit. But
it made a solid profit, but it was a failure when it comes to Disney standards, if that makes sense. Because Little Mermaid is supposed to make about $1 billion. So they even made like half, right? So they did make profit of that film for sure. So it was successful on that end, but it was a failure on Disney end because Little Mermaid should have made at least $1 billion compared to like Aladdin, right? How much did Aladdin make actually? Hold up, let me look that real quick. Give me one sec. Yo, what up, BC Rabbit? Oh, I've been working on your a commission on stream. I ain't stopping streaming till 7 o'clock in the morning because we're watching Nintendo Direct. So that's why we're gonna finish half of this, and then yeah, we're gonna be working on your commission soon. So keep a lookout for that. Well, I don't think you're gonna be awake, but yeah, keep a lookout for that. I'll be sending that very soon. I'm on my way to the dock, but I wanted to. Oh, thank you. Hopefully everything goes well in the dock. Let's see, Aladdin box office. Here we go. So the Aladdin 2019 box office. Oh, wait, hold up. All right, here we go. The 2019 live action remake earned about $1.0 billion worldwide. So, yeah. The biggest flop right now for Disney live action right now is Snow White. But again, it's still early. But honestly, Snow White box office is not looking good in their second week. It's like looking really, really bad. Because it did a 66% drop right now, right here. So it did about 66% drop, guys. And that is really, 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 really bad. Because it should have been close to like, they should not be hitting $144 million. They should be hitting about like $250,000 by now, or even almost, yeah, like $250,000 to $100 million by now. So, like, for Disney films, they should be making $1 billion almost every single film. And for Snow White, it's not even doing that. For Little Mermaid, it didn't even do that. It did half of that. So in Mermaid though was successful. It did make profit, and Snow White could make profit, but it's very. I don't think it's gonna happen because that's a big drop off, especially for worldwide numbers. Because internationally should not be close to domestic, because obviously domestic is a lot smaller area, and obviously internationally is well, it's the rest of the world. So they are doing really really bad around the world. And that is like the biggest like profit margin right there. So unless something turns around, marketing happens or some, I have no idea what they need to do to make this film successful. But as of right now, it's a big flop. Like for a second week number, it's a big flop, but it could turn around. But I highly doubt it. But we'll see.
Zegler insisted that the Snow White remake was based on an alternative version of the story, one that doesn't have to do with her skin color. She said, "It fell back to another version of Snow White that was told in history, where she survived a snowstorm that occurred when she was a baby, and so the king and queen decided to name her Snow White to remind her of her resilience. One of the core points in our film for any young woman or young person is remembering how strong you actually are. And while this may seem like a small nuance that doesn't really matter in the grand scheme of things, it was an insight into the major changes that were coming next, because the more Zegler talked about the film, the more it seemed like it was going to be a disaster, particularly in this Variety interview where she talked about how she and the writers are giving Snow White a modern twist."
See, that was the mistake too as well, because here's the thing, why people are having trouble with these films, because they want to see characters who look like almost exactly close to the animation, the character in the cartoon, right? So for example, The Little Mermaid, the reason why a lot of people had trouble with it, I know there's people with racist assholes, I know there are people out there, don't like, we're not even gonna talk about those people. But I think the people that had trouble with Little Mermaid is because they couldn't see themselves in the Little Mermaid, or not see themselves, but like they couldn't picture the cartoon into like live action because she had like a black skin tone color instead of being white compared to what they're used to in the cartoon version, right? So that's the only reason why people had trouble with it for the most part, is because they want to see the cartoon look like almost exactly in the live action as much as possible. They've done it with other live action, so once they start changing that, they're kind of like, okay. But was that like the whole ruiner of the film? No, but it was like bad marketing, because again, it's not like for people that want to see something that's very similar to what they seen when they're growing up. So with her saying with the Snow White, that's gonna be modern, that's gonna be changed, it's gonna be this and that, changing the cartoon movie like almost completely. It kind of like, why the hell do I want to watch this film now? Like, you know what I mean? Because you're alienate the people who actually want to watch these films and want to see what they saw growing up, you know?
You said you were bringing a modern edge to it. What do you mean by that?
I just mean that it's no longer 1937, and we absolutely wrote a Snow White that is
not going to be saved by the prince.
She's not going to be saved by the prince. She's not going to be dreaming about true love. She's dreaming about becoming the leader she knows she can be.
Snow White dreams of being a leader? Why not write a totally new story instead of remaking the old ones?
Pretty much.
It has nothing to do with Snow White. Zegler,
yeah.
There is nothing wrong with dreaming about true love. But people were not overreacting in the comments. Zegler supported stripping this classic story of its roots.
I mean, you know, the original cartoon came out in 1937, and very evidently so. There's a big focus on her love story with a guy who literally stalks her. Weird. So we didn't do that this time.
Rachel's tone might come off silly to some, but it is evidently so sarcastic. Referring to Prince Charming as a stalker is inaccurate and disrespectful. We are not talking about just any Disney film. We are talking about the first ever
Disney film
animated feature
that
film
made Disney.
This is quite literally Walt Disney's baby. Now, people are already a little apprehensive towards the countless remakes of old Disney classics, but Rachel's lack of class and grace pushed anyone who was even a little open-minded away. Despite that, she continued to express her disdain for the original film.
I was
This is so dumb.
Like, I'm being so serious. I watched it once, never revisited Snow White again.
What's interesting about Rachel
So
claiming to be
dumb.
scared of the original film is that she also said the exact opposite during her press tour, showing pictures of her as a child in her Snow White dress and how she always dreamed as a little girl of being this princess. This constant flip-flopping along with her sarcastic tone just soured people's perception of her. But not only did she seem unappreciative of a Disney classic, she also made some interesting comments about her next role as Anthea in Shazam! Fury of the Gods.
Oh, really?
Step into this world of DC heroes. I needed a job. I'm being so serious.
While yes, even actors have bills to pay and need a job to do that, some interpreted the remark as snarky and annoying. Now, to be fair, later in the interview, Rachel does go on to express her gratitude for receiving this role, considering it was only her second Hollywood film ever. But her
She's being too real.
the carpet continued to stir the pot, and she just kept making it worse, specifically during the writer's strike of 2023. The Writers Guild of America represents thousands of writers in film, TV, radio, and online media. They are the backbone of Hollywood's content. Despite their importance, Hollywood executives restructured the industry to drastically reduce residual payments, leaving most writers with little to no income after their work is uploaded to apps like Netflix, Hulu, HBO Max, etc. So the Guild went on a strike to renegotiate and push for higher pay. Rachel Zegler also used her voice to support the strike.
If I'm going to stand there 18 hours in a dress of an iconic Disney princess, I deserve to be paid for every hour that it is streamed online.
She's like everything people hate about this generation distilled into a single person. At this point, I'm sure you are noticing a pattern. While we hope that deep down Rachel's intentions are pure, and we hope that she truly is just trying to have an overall positive impact on the world, she has a terrible way of expressing her opinions, as her tone often comes off as disrespectful. Having 2 movies under her belt and already aggressively demanding higher pay came off extremely entitled, especially considering
That's true.
It was mostly for writers.
Yeah, it wasn't by actors.
Like Zegler are often compensated extremely generously.
Yeah,
By this
millions.
point, her reputation was at an all-time low, and there were even rumors.
Yeah, I mean, because again, I do believe like writers do have rights. They should have rights to at least get residuals, what you want to call them. If the product that they worked on is on streaming services, I think that's very fair. I think that's like, I don't think nobody has an argument about that, because if you're using the same product that they worked on, you shouldn't get paid for that. Because actors still get paid for movies that done like years ago. They still get royalty checks for those as well. And yeah, so I do agree they should get paid 100%. It just sucks because I really don't like how the entertainment industry is going. I really don't. And I'm not talking about AI or anything like that. I'm talking about like how the people who are running it are being dumbasses in many ways. Especially how much control they want to control certain IPs and burn them down to the ground. We already seen that happen with like, pretty much saw that with like Marvel, right? Except for Daredevil Born Again. It's bringing back hope of Marvel, in my personal opinion. It's an amazing show. But again, I'm biased. I love the Marvel character. I love Daredevil, the character. But like, if you've seen like Star Wars, almost no one is excited for Star Wars as much as they were before when they brought that the series back, like the movies, right? Because they had no plan. That like the whole trilogy was garbage. Like it was worse than obviously than the prequel, because at least the prequel they had an idea of what they're gonna take the story, right? The origin story of Darth Vader. But this one, the new set of trilogy, they have no idea where they're gonna go. They had no idea what to do. So they brought in like old nostalgic characters at the end, and it was all over the place. So and then every show that came out was like, okay, we have some hype moments here and there, but for the most part, it was like it wasn't getting people excited as they were before. So yeah, it just sucks where things are going right now with an industry. I'm at a point where it's like, this is why I don't want to work for anybody in the industry. I just don't want to personally. I feel like I have way better ideas to work on and to do than work for somebody. But that may change. You never know if an opportunity showcases some way. But I just like, I don't know, man. I've always been like hesitant on it because like I feel like I've been restricted way too much, especially like where I like if I want to tell a story the way I want to create the art or something like that. It's like I don't want to be restricted for obvious reasons. And man, they're restricting a lot of people nowadays, dude. And also the whole like force of DEI is got really bad, especially like quote unquote what people call it wokeness too as well. Got really bad to a certain point. Now they're calling everything woke, which is not true. But it's like because of like the bad years that people experience of the entertainment industry, I can understand why people are tired of it. I completely understand that.
Rumors circulating that Disney.
Yo, what up, Toilet Man? How's it going?
Countless people expressed that Rachel Zegler is the sole reason that they would not go to watch the movie. But then somehow Disney managed to make things even worse.
Wait,
They announced that they would be changing Snow White's 7 dwarves to the more politically correct Snow White's diverse group of magical creatures of all sizes and genders. Photos of the cast were leaked onto the internet, which sparked outrage. These look like medieval times reenactors at the local fair. Disney quickly responded and said that these were not pictures of the actual.
Yeah, it was the bandits or something.
The
Yeah.
only reason Disney planned on changing the dwarves in the first place
because this stupid asshole is dumb as fuck. This guy was good at Game of Thrones, and that's it. Everything else, he's a piece of shit actor. I said it. This guy is so fucking dumb that he literally ruined Hollywood for a lot of people that of his size that wants to get work in TV shows and movies and stuff like that, because he said, I don't want a quote unquote little people. Is that a slur now? Let me know. If that was a slur, then I don't remember. Like I don't remember exactly what they call them now. Little people, right? I swear to God, I better not get banned for that. I swear I did not mean it that way. I'm just trying to remember the term what people do now. But yeah, this guy ruined it. This guy completely ruined it. Shout out to Mammy. I'm back on Twitch. Oh, what up? You good, Toilet Man? Why your name is Toilet Man? And why do you have toilet? Wait, is that a... How do you get those symbols in your name?
was because of a comment made by Hollywood star Peter Dinklage, who felt that the new rendition of the movie was not progressive enough.
I was
so dumb.
Back by the they're very proud to cast a Latino actress as Snow White.
Yeah.
But you're still telling the story of Snow White.
Yeah.
7 dwarfs.
Sure.
So you take a step back and look at what you're doing there.
Yeah.
I know. That makes no sense to me.
Well,
that's so dumb. Dinklage's so dumb.
One way, but you're still making that backward story of 7 dwarves living in a cave. What the are you doing, man?
Even though Peter Dinklage...
That's so effing dumb, dude. Like, really? Really?
has built an illustrious Hollywood legacy with countless roles as a little person, he seemed pretty upset with Disney. They promptly responded that they would avoid reinforcing stereotypes and would be consulting with members of the dwarfism community to make the 7 characters more inclusive.
Dwarfism? Okay.
Looked at this as Disney once again pandering to another social issue, but what often happens when trying to please everyone for the sake of being politically correct,
so dumb,
pleasing no one.
What they're doing is pretty much
Hornswoggle from WWE was
people could have as little people. Snow White and the 7 dwarfs, it's 4 dwarfs.
Disney was panicking for a solution to make...
Bro, the one time they could do like actual what's it called? The diversity, right? The one time they could actually do it, they decided not to. And they still went against it too. You know how? They went against it? They CGI the dwarves. They CGI'd them. It's crazy.
Make both sides happy, and nobody could have predicted how bad their solution to this problem would be. Instead of casting real actors, Disney decided to eliminate them and use CGI dwarves instead, which will provide enough nightmare fuel to last you the rest of 2025. The dwarves look like scary monsters, not cute, charming friends. The overuse of CGI in this film allowed them to take shortcuts. Instead of creating detailed artistic sets and costumes, they relied on animation, which made the film feel cheap, hollow, and soulless. Like, wasn't this supposed to be a live-action remake? Where's the live action? Why is CGI? Why does it look like a really bad cartoon? Additionally, the significance of the dwarves to the story was drastically reduced. Grumpy and Dopey got a decent amount of screen time, while the other 5 dwarves were barely shown enough for the viewers to be able to distinguish them from one another. Ironically, all of these decisions were made to avoid backlash from the dwarfism community, and now the little people people who were removed from the film are now planning a class action lawsuit against Disney for replacing them with cartoons. This is so ridiculous.
So dumb,
Actress Molly
dude.
Chapman, who is 3 foot 8 inches tall, said, 7 talented Little People actors could have played these roles in the live-action remake, and yet they chose to use cartoons. It's an insult and discriminatory. You ever see one of those tragic situations where it's extremely foggy and there's a traffic jam on the highway, and you have cars speeding into the fog, just crashing into each other? That is this film. And surely it couldn't get any worse, right? Wrong, because now there was a major dispute between the 2 stars of the film, Gal Gadot and Rachel Zegler.
That's scary, yeah.
Sometime between 2023 and 2024, that Gal and Rachel may have developed some tension. As you can see in this interview, Gal is being professional, looking and smiling while Zegler is speaking. But whenever Gal is speaking, Zegler refuses to look at her, often looking down at her feet or off to the side. Their body language screams that there is tension between them, and these assumptions would be proven true. When Disney released the official trailer for Snow White, Rachel thanked the fans for their support, receiving over 120 million views in 24 hours. She used that big moment to make a political statement. And always remember, Free Palestine. While some saw this as an honorable act of solidarity, others interpreted it as a jab at her co-star. Gal Gadot is Israeli and even served in their military. Gal has been outwardly supportive of her country, specifically posting support for the IDF and civilian hostages taken during the October 7th Hamas attack. Almost immediately, Gal began getting a concerning amount of death threats. Things got so bad that Disney had to hire a personal security detail for Gadot. One of the Disney producers, Mark Platt, flew from Los Angeles to New York to have a personal
Wow.
Platt had to remind her how much was at stake with the movie and her career before asking her to post heedfully. The son of the Disney producer was criticized online.
I'm telling you, man. Like when you talk about politics, dude, you shouldn't, especially when you're promoting a product, a movie. You should be neutral. You have to be neutral. It's just the way things are when you're a celebrity, a public influencer, whatever. The reason why is because, especially when you're promoting a product, or especially when you're promoting that, because you want to get the majority market. You don't want to piss anybody off in general. Are we playing tonight? Ronin? I think we could, but how long are you gonna be awake? Because I'm gonna be awake till like 7 o'clock in the morning. Because I'm watching Nintendo Direct.
For his father trying to reprimand Zegler, to which he responded, "Yeah, my dad, the producer of an enormous piece of Disney IP with hundreds of millions of dollars on the line, had to leave his family to fly across the country to reprimand his 20-year-old employee for dragging her personal politics into the middle of promoting the movie for which she signed a multi-million-dollar contract to get paid and do publicity for. This is called adult responsibility and accountability, and her actions clearly hurt the film's box office. Free speech does not mean you're allowed to say whatever you want in your private employment without repercussions. Tens of thousands of people worked on that film, and she hijacked the conversation for her own immature desires, at the risk of all the colleagues and crew and blue-collar workers who depend on that movie to be successful. Narcissism is not something to be coddled or encouraged. Now, Rachel Zegler cannot necessarily be held responsible for the actions of other people. After all, her and her co-star are doing the exact same thing. They are just expressing support for opposite sides.
Right.
But all of this could have been avoided if they just left politics out of a children's movie.
Told you.
But Zegler was insistent
Told
on
you.
making her political opinion heard at any opportunity she could.
By the way, guys, I want to say, I said the N-word with Dorism, the little people. My bad. I didn't know that was a slur. I legit did not know that was a slur. I was trying to remember what they call. All right, I don't use. So that was my bad. All right, I don't want to get banned on that. Like,
vote for Kamala Harris, and it's actually non-negotiable. Our rights are on the line, folks. Our reproductive rights.
is that Shrek? Is that Shrek?
Go vote blue. And if you disagree with this sentiment, just hit the unfollow button. I don't need your business.
And what better time than immediately after the election of President Donald Trump? She posted on her Instagram story, "I find myself speechless in the midst of this. Another 4 years of hatred, leaning us towards a world I do not want to live in. Leaning us towards a world that will be hard to raise my daughter in." She doesn't have a daughter, by the way. "Leaning us towards a world that will force her to have a baby she doesn't want. Leaning us towards a world that is fearful. I shouldn't be this shocked, but I am. I am heartbroken for my friends who awoke fear this morning, and I am here with you. To cry, to yell, to hug, to wax poetic on how the left continues to fail us in forging a new path forward. This loss should not have been, and it certainly should not have been by so many votes. May Trump supporters and Trump voters and Trump himself never know peace." They sent the media into an all-out frenzy.
So
particularly
dumb.
Conservative media, who were
So dumb, dude. Like I said, man, stay away from politics if you're a celebrity or influencer. Just stay away from them. It's just a big headache at this point. Like, it just really is. It really is. I'm sorry, man. It's just like, oh God, man. Oh God.
shocked that Disney was allowing their star to publicly condemn half the country.
Hello, Disney. You're going to have to redo your film again because this woman is a pig and you fired Gina Carano for far less than this nonsense.
Oh, yeah, they fired her.
Disney was officially fed up with her.
Oh, right. They fired her. I forgot about that. She was the MMA fighter, right? The Mandalorian actress. What was the reason why they fired her? Do you guys remember? She said something with politics too, right? She was done for that. Like, again, stay away from politics if you're an actress. Like, you can't, especially when you're promoting a product.
And decided to take action. First, I'm assuming they made her apologize because she redacted her comments she made about the election. From there, Zegler reportedly began working with a social media guru paid for by Disney to vet
That's crazy.
before the
That's
March
crazy,
21st
dude.
debut. They essentially had someone monitoring her social media so she wasn't able to sabotage the film any further, but the damage had already
been done.
The
Yeah.
film officially released in theaters worldwide on March 21st, 2025. There was a slight chance that all this negative publicity would actually draw more attention to the film, increase ticket sales, and lead to a successful debut. Unfortunately for Disney, the opposite happened. Fans knew this movie was going to suck way before it ever released, and no matter how many professional critics on Rotten Tomatoes are writing positive reviews, the fans have made their statement with a lack of support.
Oh, I watched
And as a
paint
result,
dry.
Snow White has suffered a disastrous opening weekend at the global box office, earning only $87.3 million worldwide, which sounds like a lot until you realize that it had a staggering $250 million production budget, which some reports suggest is actually closer to $300 million after reshoots and marketing costs. That means they had a whopping 70% loss, making it one of Disney's biggest box office bombs in recent history. This performance is nearly exactly the same as The Little Mermaid. It had the same budget and had a very similar opening weekend. However, The Little Mermaid was actually a pretty good remake with positive reviews. Fans later decided to give the movie a shot, which resulted in a $569 million worldwide box office earnings.
Which, again, it is profit, but it is, in Disney standards, it's a failure. Like I said that earlier. That Little Mermaid should have made $1 billion. 100%. It should have made $1 billion.
But due to the overwhelming agreement from people who actually watch the movie that it sucks, and then people straight up boycotting, I don't think Snow White's gonna get a second wind. This is a bomb. And Rachel Zegler's response to the box office failure was nothing short of delusional.
And to everyone who hates when I win, the winged victory came to the Louvre in pieces, and people still line up to see her. And I can only hope that despite my flaws, and despite my cracks and my breaks, and there are many of them, that at every premiere and everything I do, people will wait in line to see.
People who already thought Zegler was a narcissist have officially
Yeah,
confirmed their feelings
it pretty much
after
ruined. She
seeing
ruined
this
her. She ruined her
statement. They
image.
suspected she was trying to make this film about her. They suspected that she did not care for the legacy of Disney and that all she wanted was the spotlight for herself. And honestly, this response makes it seem like those assumptions are now justified. But it's a confusing response because the film was a massive flop. Like, essentially she's saying, haha, my movies are so great, you just have to line up and you have to watch them. But that's not the case. People are actually not waiting in line for this film specifically because of her. And as easy as it is to continuously blame her for the failure of this film, it's only fair to admit that Rachel Zegler's performance was actually decent. She is a great singer, and she definitely performed well considering most of
Actually, that's the craziest thing ever too. Her acting was actually good. That's what people said. The one people that said they actually had bad acting was Gal Gadot. Like Gal Gadot, whatever her name is. Sword loser picked the wrong side. You should have joined the. Oh my god. I'm not gonna finish that.
The film actually bad was outside of her control. Like most Disney live-action remakes, Snow White just felt a bit bland and lacked the magic of the original. The CGI looked cheap, the colors are dull and boring, the evil queen didn't feel very evil at all. These remakes often struggle to capture the same charm, making them feel like a corporate cash grab. But since Disney will lose money on this film, perhaps they won't make this same mistake going forward. But the biggest learning lesson for Disney here is that the internet outrage is not fake. When people say, hey, your main character is insufferable and I will not spend my money to see this movie, they're not lying. When people say they genuinely want politics to remain out of a children's movie, they are not lying. And when people say it's better to just invent new stories instead of alter the classics, they are not lying. The people won, but the truth is, this film should have never been made. Walt Disney himself was extremely protective of Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. This was essentially his baby. Walt reportedly rejected multiple ideas for sequels, including a proposed short called Snow White Returns, and was adamant that the original story should not be altered or expanded, as he believed Snow White was a standalone masterpiece that should remain untouched. And it's extremely evident that Disney should have honored their creator's one wish.
Wow. That sucks, dude. That sucks, man. The $1 billion movie. Bro, it flopped hard, dude. It really did. I cannot wait to watch it online. Just to see.
Disney was
Snow White and the Seven-Figure Loss. Let's face it, without her, this movie was going to be terrible. That's not necessarily true. I think even if the film was gonna be not 100% good, right? It would still made a lot of money. I think it would still been okay, it's okay film, right? If she never said anything about politics or just straight out just did the film, I think, yeah, we're gonna watch a Fantana video because Kanye West made a weird ass interview recently, so that's why we're gonna watch the Fantana video. Anyways, we're gonna watch that soon. It's hard to pin this purely on one actor. Half were boycotting for Gal and the other half were for Rachel. Then clips of Gal acting came out and that was the death of me. Pretty much, yeah. So it's not 100% all her fault, but she's one of the biggest reasons why it was a big failure for sure. I mean, you can even make a part 2 video about why Gal Gadot also ruined the film too. Because I'll say this one more time and the last time. If you're promoting a product, stay neutral. Don't talk about politics. Don't talk about social issues. Just promote the product in order to get the majority market instead of the minority of the market. All right, you want to just be neutral and just promote. That's it. That's the best thing you could do. You should never attack your fans. All right, never attack your fans, guys. Never attack your fans. Never attack the people who are gonna buy your product. Right? It's kind of like saying let's say I'm selling this art piece, right? It's Mario, Super Mario Bros. 3. An art piece to showcase one of the greatest games of all time. What if I've been yo, I want nobody who voted for Kamala to buy this piece. You guys go F off. I don't want nobody who voted for Trump to buy this art piece. F off. Imagine I was a person like that. Me selling the product and I'm already attacking people in general, right? Because of who they voted for or what like of that kind of stuff, right? Bro, it's a piece about Mario Brothers. What the fuck does that have to do with like politics? You know what I mean? That's the key thing that people need to understand. Yo, what up, Butt Fourth? How you doing? Welcome to the stream. Thank you for the follow. How's it going? But yeah, you get what I mean. Like this shouldn't be a thing at all. Like it's just so weird. But yeah, it's just the weirdest thing ever, man. It really is. It's like it's like people just don't get it. Hey, oh, recommendation for Hash Kush. Hey, welcome.